Hey guys, CRAZYJACK, and welcome back to another episode of my Let's Talk Call of Duty Ghost series. The series where I basically talk about the things that generally piss me off in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, as well as the Call of Duty series as a whole. In the last episode I talked about COD's current and past kill streaks, ranging from the standard assault kill streaks to the recently introduced specialist kill streaks in Modern Warfare 3, and then asked you guys at the end of the episode how you thought kill streaks should be earned. I.e. should the kills we get from our kill streaks count towards our overall kill/score streak, as well as asking you guys whether or not you believe that the specialist/support kill streak should be integrated into the next Call of Duty game. Anyways, from looking at the title of this video, you can tell that today's topic is COD's player loadout option, and right now some of you may be scratching your heads thinking, haven't I already covered this topic? When the truth is I haven't. In the second episode of this series titled Player Customization, which most of you are probably thinking about now if you actually do remember this, I talked about features which change the appearance of the controllable player, i.e. face paint, body armor, accessories, etc. Whilst this video titled Player Loadouts is just another way of wording the create a class feature. Therefore, in this video, I'll pretty much cover all the things that come under this section. So firstly, let's begin by outlining the problems with the current player loadout system in Black Ops 2. Right, one sec, let me just get my list. You know, because there is a lot of problems. I know some of you are thinking right now, there is a lot of problems, and I agree with you. So where's that list? Okay, so for one, and this is just me generalizing the whole idea, but the whole idea of only being able to create our class with 10 loadout points is just a massive pile of ass due to so many reasons. One of the main reasons being a knock-on effect of how they turned perks which existed in previous Call of Duty games and how they've turned them into gun attachments. I'm of course talking about how they turned perks such as quick draw, sleight of hand and steady aim into attachments rather than perks, which generally piss me off, mainly due to how I'm being somewhat being forced to spend 2 of my 10 points to make sure that I have these attachments on these guns due to getting so used to having them in the previous Call of Duty games. What's worse is how, as well as requiring these 2 perks/attachments, my particular playstyle also again requires me to have a suppressor on my main gun, which again pisses me off due to how as a result of this, the game in some way is again forcing me to having to spend an extra point on primary gunfire in order to allow me to get the suppressor, which again will cost me an additional point, meaning that out of the 10 points that I have, I'm practically forced into spending half of those points on certain things due to being used to having them in the previous Call of Duty games, which I just don't like about it, as it means I have to surrender my sidearm in order to make this possible. So yeah, for one, I personally think they shouldn't turn previous perks into gun attachments. In particular, quick draw, steady aim, and sleight of hand, since I think it screws around with the whole mechanics of the traditional COD experience. Since I'm having to choose perk attachments rather than standard attachments, e.g. silencers, for my guns whilst being left with shitty perks to choose from the 3 columns. I mean, come on, haven't you seen the perk choice from the 3rd column in Black Ops 2? All the perks are utterly useless except dexterity. And secondly, in general, they just need to completely scratch the whole 10-point system to making a class. I get what they're trying to do in the case of trying to make people think about making classes which are specific to particular game modes/maps, so that they can stop people from doing the traditional cookie-cutter setup, which can dominate in every game mode/map, etc. And I'm glad they're trying to swing people into adopting these features. However, their approach to enforcing this is just all wrong. What I mean is that people won't be willing to change from the cookie-cutter setup if they're being forced to do it. In the case of restricting them greatly into what they can get. Instead, what they should do is, rather than restricting the number of things the player can get, I personally think they should instead allow them to have as much as they wish to have. Now, before you jump to the conclusion and say, that's a horrible idea, just hear me out, okay? Just hear me out about this. This can all be understood based on what I previously suggested in the second episode of this series with regards to the body, armor/player loadout features which are currently being integrated in SOCOM Confrontation. What I mean is, and this is particularly with regards to the perks side of this, player loadout creation, is that players can only use certain perks based on what armor type they have, as well as how much weight their player carries. Take this as an example. Say for example someone was carrying the maximum weight possible in the game, so he had heavy armor, an LMG, RPGs, bombs. Basically this guy is trying to be a full-on juggernaut and is trying to be the next Arnie. As a result of having extremely heavy equipment on him, I personally think his mobility should be greatly reduced, as a result to compensate for the heavy armor. This can either be done by reducing the general movement speed of the player, or reduce the amount of time he can actually sprint. Basically at the speed you can move in the last mission in Modern Warfare 3 when you're in the juggernaut suit for the first part of the mission. However, the player should at the same time be able to hold more armor such equipment due to having more armor, which means he has more, well, more pockets and sections and zips and it. If you have maximum armor, you can get an exclusive Call of Duty man purse. I can actually see this being a marketing campaign for them. Pre-order Call of Duty Ghost today and we'll throw in an exact replica of the man purse within the game. Be the first to show your friends how much of an utter loser you are. What are you waiting for? Order now! If they did that, that would be amazing. I mean, so many kids would be, oh my god, look at that man purse, yes, I feel so awesome, and then people will just slap them across the face. you're a loser. And I can see Nelson coming along like, ha ha. Anyways, as well as reducing the overall mobility for having the extra weight, fat faggot, they could also bring in the feature which involves the player only be able to use certain perks based on how much weight their player possesses. So if we use the same example as we used before, due to having lots of weight, the player shouldn't be able to use perks such as quick draw, lightweight, and extreme conditioning, as these perks normally involve the player having increased speed in certain sections. They could even take it one step further by allowing the player to have an improved version of Scavenger or Flatjack due to have the maximum armor possible within the game. And this would also work vice versa if the player was carrying the lightest weight possible in the game, e.g. if the player had the lightest armor, he would have an improved version of quick draw / lightweight or extreme conditioning, whilst he wouldn't be able to use certain perks such as Scavenger and Flatjacker, etc. I just personally think if they took this approach to making people think about how they're going to create the class rather than going for the standard cookie cutter setup in each of the Call of Duty games, I think it will be more successful due to how this approach doesn't exactly restrict what the player can have. So if some 12-year-old noob wants to have everything possible in the game so that they can try and be the next Chuck Norris, let them. But they'll soon realise that it was a bad idea when they're getting completely slowed down by the extra weight, as well as not having access to some of the most popular perks in the Call of Duty series. Finally, I think it will give competitive / champions games a whole new experience, due to how Clan / teams would be able to allocate certain members of the team to have certain setups based on what certain game mode / map they're playing on. E.g. a team / clan's bomb carrier would want to be like a full-on juggernaut, so therefore they want that guy to have maximum armor so they have the most protection, while say a team's flag carrier would want to have the least armor so you have the most mobility, so you would have the least armor on him to have added mobility and thus move faster and be able to sprint longer. So yeah, basically to sum up this whole topic, get rid of that whole 10-point creator class system. It was a good idea, but it was just a complete and utter fail, and it's really annoying. Just get rid of it, scrap it completely, and just leave it in the dust. Put it under the carpet, do whatever you want, take a dump on it, whatever, just leave it alone. It was a idea. People are like, oh yeah, so most of the Call of Duty games, yeah. And you know, I can agree with that. So anyway, that's one. Secondly, sleight of hand, quick draw, and steady aim should remain as perks and not fucking gun attachments. They are perks. They have been in all the Call of Duty games. You do not fucking change it. It's fucking annoying. I'm being forced to surrender quick draw, which I just fucking hate. I loved quick draw, and I'm having to be forced to it so I can have silencer and fast mag so I can have an extra perk. It's fucking annoying. Leave it as it is. I'm finally to have a creator class system based around mobility and weight. And for the love of God, please keep the equivalent of Ghost perk as it is. It is bang on perfect. Leave it as it is. That is the one good thing about Black Ops 2. They got the UAV jammer perk where, you know, it's perfect because it stops camping. I love it. It's bang on. They should keep it as it is. Leave it alone. Do not change that. But everything else change. Just change everything except for Ghost perk. Ghost perk is good. We like Ghost perk. I like Ghost perk. Right, now that I've finished my rant / discussion about this matter, I hope you enjoyed this episode of my Let's Talk Call of Duty Ghost series. I want to know your own personal thought about this matter. Were you happy that they turned certain perks into gun attachments? And do you like my idea of how classes should be created based on mobility / weight? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Other than that, my name's been CRAZYJACK, and I hope to see you next time.